It's midnight and you tune into Nightline with me, Zahir, Kelvin and Abdullah. The top stories. Putrajaya stands firm on protecting national interests as US tariff threat looms. And Bank Negara slashes OPR to 2.75%. Good morning. Malaysia, as ASEAN chair, called on the grouping to work closely together in facing new challenges brought about in a changing international geopolitical and economic landscape in the world. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said that ASEAN is now being confronted with the new reality where trade barriers such as tariffs are used as an instrument for geopolitical rivalry. In his opening remarks around the 58th ASEAN Foreign Ministers AMM in the federal capital on Wednesday, Anwar urged even closer alignment between ASEAN's foreign and economic policy tracks. He also said trade barriers are now being used to pressure and isolate certain countries.
This is no passing storm. It is a new weather of our time. Now ASEAN must confront this reality with clarity and conviction. We must read the landscape clinically, speak with coherence, act with foresight.
Anwar said that ASEAN nations need to read the landscape clinically, speak with coherence and act with foresight. The Prime Minister added that as ASEAN navigates external pressures, it has to strengthen its foundations by trading and investing more in one another. He also called on the grouping to reject the idea that the world can be carved into spheres of influence and that decisions about the region can be made elsewhere. Speaking to reporters after launching the AMM, Anwar said Malaysia is committed to maintaining good relations with the United States but remains firm in not compromising when it comes to defending national interests. He also revealed that he would raise the issue of the 25% retaliatory tariff imposed by Washington on Malaysian products during his meeting with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Thursday. According to Anwar, Malaysia believes that any unilateral tariffs will inevitably have a negative impact on both the national economy and broader regional trade stability. In light of this, he will present detailed arguments during his meeting with Rubio, urging that the tariff be reconsidered by US President Donald Trump.
Tentunya hubungan dengan Amerika Serikat kita harus kekalkan, tetapi kita juga akan pertahankan pendirian kita bahawa Malaysia ini negara dagang. Jadi kita minta supaya pertimbangan, kita dah kemukakan alasan-alasan yang hujah dan dia bagi sampai bulan Ogos untuk memuktamadkan.
On Tuesday, Trump announced that a 25% import duty on Malaysian goods would take effect from August 1st. He justified the measure as a way to protect domestic industries from what he described as unfair trade practices by several countries. During Anwar's meeting with Rubio, the Prime Minister, according to economist Muhammad Afzal Nizam Abdul Rashid, can highlight Malaysia's strong standing contributions to the US economy.
Perhaps the Prime Minister can actually begin with the what are the contributions from Malaysia in terms of contributing to the US economy via providing the production hubs for the US companies, especially those tech companies.
He said Malaysia has supported US companies, especially in tech, since the 1970s, providing hubs, talent and a conducive business environment while strengthening supply chains. Afzal Nizam also pointed out that Malaysia's average tariff rate is low at about 5.6%, showing its commitment to liberalization. However, he said Malaysia should also address US concerns such as halal certification issues affecting beef exports and believes these can be resolved through discussions for a win-win outcome. Despite the 25% import tariff, Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz said ongoing negotiations with Washington should not be considered a failure.
It's not about a question of that negotiations have failed. It's not about the questions that this is about Malaysia or the world is facing a crisis, but of course, in all negotiations, in all meetings, in all platforms, we continue to reinforce our view that we are in support of the principles of multilateralism.
At present, the United States contributes about 15% of Malaysia's total trade value. In a separate development, Anwar said that ASEAN has achieved a spectacular position where it is measured, respected and recognized internationally. The Prime Minister attributed the regional bloc's current global standing to the deep-rooted trust and enduring friendships among its leaders over the years.
I've just returned, as you know, from Rio. I was in Italy, France before that. Without exception, meeting leaders, of course, bilateral sessions with Malaysia, but without exception, they all ask about ASEAN. Everyone have recognized the role of ASEAN.
He added that ASEAN leaders had gone through various phases to ensure the bloc's continued success. Now, the Prime Minister described the latest reduction in the overnight policy rate, OPR, to 2.75% as a prudent and proactive measure. According to Anwar, the move by Bank Negara's Monetary Policy Committee was guided by careful economic considerations and current inflation projections. In a social media post, Anwar stated that although the export sector faces challenges, the government has implemented various support initiatives, including the financing guarantee scheme for micro, small and medium enterprises, as well as the exploration of new markets. Reforms under the Madani economy framework have also strengthened the country's resilience, with the national inflation rate dropping to 1.2% as of May 2025, the lowest level in 51 months, while the labour force participation rate reached a record high of 70.8%. Anwar also emphasized the importance of continuing reforms to secure the nation's future, highlighting that challenges present opportunities for progress through improved governance, bold innovation and steadfast determination. Early on Wednesday, Bank Negara announced a 25 basis point cut to the OPR, bringing it down to 2.75%, the first reduction since May 2023. The move comes amid an outlook still clouded by tariff uncertainties and geopolitical tensions. Following the cut, the ceiling and floor rates of the OPR corridor have also been reduced to 3 and 2.5% respectively. In a statement, Bank Negara's Monetary Policy Committee said current external factors have led to uncertainties in global financial markets and commodity prices. Thus, the OPR cut is an initial step to maintain stable economic growth and was also implemented in an environment where inflation remains under control. Moving forward, Malaysia's economic activity will continue to be driven by strong domestic demand and robust export flows. This is also supported by labour market growth and policies that continue to encourage household spending. Meanwhile, the cut in the OPR is expected to lower financing costs for individuals and businesses, encouraging spending and boosting domestic economic activity. Putra Business School Professor Ahmed Razman Abdullah tells Nightline that this would give consumers more disposable income and help support economic growth this year.
In my opinion, what we will see from this impact of this cut on the economy and consumers is that it will make the cost of financing lower to the individuals, to the businesses. The consumer will have more disposable income for them to spend, and this is hopefully will reinvigorate the economic activity, especially.
He also believes the current rate is likely to be maintained going forward as inflation remains low, providing room to absorb higher spending without immediate concerns. However, he added that the central bank will likely continue to closely monitor the situation before deciding on any further adjustments. Moving on, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has detained 4 members of the same family who are suspected of masterminding a monopoly over the government's milk powder supply tenders for the past 2 years, involving contracts worth 120 million ringgit. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azambaki revealed that the company owned by the family had also supplied substandard milk powder to a government department. Azam stated that the joint operation, dubbed Op White, was carried out on Tuesday in collaboration with the Inland Revenue Board and Bank Negara Malaysia. The operation, based on intelligence gathered over the past 3 months, involved raids at 3 residential properties and the company premises in Kuala Lumpur. It is believed that these premises contain documents related to milk powder supply contracts dating back to 2019. The cartel, led by the couple and their son, aged between 40 and 70, allegedly supplied milk powder that failed to meet Cerium's food safety and quality standards to a government department across Peninsular Malaysia between 2021 and 2024. For the 2024 to 2027 period, the supply contract has been limited to just 2 zones, the southern and east coast regions. Azam, however, did not disclose the name of the government department involved. 3 of the suspects were detained after presenting themselves at the MACC office in Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday, while another was arrested on Wednesday. The MACC also froze 75 bank accounts, comprising 24 individual and 51 company accounts. The investigation is being conducted under the MACC Act. Now, Azam, when contacted, revealed that the total value of accounts frozen in connection with the case has reached 174 million ringgit. Investigations also found that although the tenders were awarded to various companies, the source of supply still came from the same company linked to the suspects.
Kita hanya meningkat dan ada sebuah baru kita telah buat ke atas kilang pemprosesan susu pada hari ini yang bertujuan untuk memeriksa dokumen-dokumen yang berkaitan kontrak pembekalan susu tepung yang mereka perolehi, termasuk dokumen-dokumen kewangan.
Crude palm oil CPO prices are expected to remain volatile due to geopolitical factors. Analysts on Wednesday anticipate that global supply and demand will become more balanced by 2026. According to RHB Investment Bank, CPO prices fell to a low of 3,780 ringgit per tonne in May. However, prices have since rebounded to between 3,900 ringgit and 4,100 ringgit per tonne. This was driven by various external factors, including tariff issues and the conflict in West Asia. The research firm has also revised its CPO price forecast for this year down to 4,100 ringgit per tonne. US President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that he will impose a new 50% tariff on all copper imported into the country and reveal plans for steep new duties on pharmaceuticals. Trump, however, did not say when the copper tariff would take effect. Currently, most imported cars and car parts face a 25% tariff, while imported steel and aluminium both face 50% tariffs. Trump also said that 200% tariffs on pharmaceuticals are coming very soon, but they may not take effect for some time in an effort to get more companies to move to the US. The president argued that the US needs more domestic drug production to reduce reliance on foreign supplies. Bus lane clash. Police record statements from cyclist and bus driver. This and more after this breather.
A woman's spirit is boundless. So grab your coffee cup and wear your sassiest smile. Because this season, we're louder than ever. We talk career, health, finance, relationships, and everything in between. Women's Talk is here to empower and inspire you. Join us on Women's Talk every Saturday, 5 p.m. only on TV3 and stream now on Thursday.
Cat Fashion Week. Miao menyala, gaya membara. Temui 8 finalis Cat Fashion Week. Eksklusif di Nona setiap Ahad 2 petang. Bersiaran di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Nightline continues. An unemployed man who was charged with the murder of his parents and an 11-year-old niece in Pago last year pleaded not guilty at the Muar High Court. Azman Muhammad Noor claimed trial to all 3 charges when they were read to him before Judge Surya Kumar DJ Paul during the first mention of the case on Wednesday. The 48-year-old appeared at the court in a wheelchair due to a nerve disorder. He's accused of murdering his father, Muhammad Noor Muhammad Yassin, age 82, his mother, Ara Abdul Hamid, 76, and his niece, Nora Adriana Noor Hashim, at their home in Jalan Sekolah Kampung Paya Redang, Pago, between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. on August 9th last year. The court fixed August 27 for the submission of documents and for the accused to appoint a lawyer. Azman is currently serving a 9-year prison sentence and has been fined 5,000 ringgit in a separate case involving the assault of another niece. In the incident last year, his parents were found burned inside the family home, while Nora Adriana was discovered with severe facial injuries believed to have been caused by a blunt object. Initially classified as a sudden death case, the investigation was later reclassified as murder following the discovery of injuries on the victims' bodies. A labourer previously spared the death penalty for drug trafficking is heading back to prison after the Kuala Terengganu High Court sentenced him to 30 years jail and 12 strokes of the cane. The court found that the defence failed to rebut the presumption of trafficking against 41-year-old Muhammad Faiz Yusof. The sentence will take effect from the date of his rearrest on April 23rd this year. According to the charge, Muhammad Faiz was accused of trafficking over 600 grams of methamphetamine at a house in Kampung Padang Machang Manir at around 7:30 p.m. on September 1st, 2019. In October 2022, the same High Court had granted him a discharge not amounting to an acquittal. However, prosecutors later appealed the decision and the Court of Appeal ruled that there was a prima facie case. Earlier media reports indicated the accused was arrested before he could profit from selling some 60,000 yaba pills with an estimated street value of 600,000 ringgit. Police have recorded statements from 4 individuals in connection with a roadside row involving a group of cyclists allegedly obstructing a bus path near Kuala Selangor last Sunday. One of those questioned was the bus driver, while the other 3 were part of the group of cyclists involved in the incident. A video of the incident which showed the altercation between the bus driver and the group of cyclists went viral on social media. The confrontation happened along Jalan Kuala Selangor, Kuala Lumpur near the Batu Arang traffic lights due to the group cycling in a large formation on the left side of the road, blocking the bus's passage. The heated argument was subsequently quelled by members of the Road Transport Department who happened to be passing through the area. Kuala Selangor Police Chief Superintendent Zahiruddin Tajuddin confirmed that a 24-year-old man, who is also a representative of the group of cyclists, lodged a report at the district police headquarters on Tuesday, while the bus driver filed a similar report the day before. The investigation is being conducted under the road traffic rules for failing to ride bicycles in a single file on the road. Rapid Bus has also confirmed that it is conducting its own investigation into the incident involving an MRT feeder bus and a group of cyclists. 9 dead in India's bridge collapse. The details when Nightline returns.
IC adalah maruah, peluang dan pengiktirafan. Tanpa IC, siapkah kita di mata negara?
Jom, hashtag sama-sama ada IC.
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 Kau nak tuduh siapa pula?
Dipaksa untuk tutup nasi dalam nikah.
Dah siapa tahu kau kat sini?
Apa kau buat kat sini? Kau tengok muka dia orang ni semua.
Kita semua ni pengkhianat!
Hari Wijaya melepaskan kita.
Aku memang nak satu keturunan kau mampus dah.
Aku yang layak jadi serigala merah!
Muat turun dan layan tonton sekarang. Semua favourite anda di sini.
Maruahnya tercalar oleh dusta.
Apa yang dia nak? Apa yang saya kena buat?
Dan hadirnya bukan untuk menghakimi.
Salah I ni akan cium bau neraka, bau syurga pun tak akan dapat cium.
Tapi Allah sentiasa menerima taubat hamba-Nya yang nak bertaubat.
Diarahkan oleh Fatah Amin. Dari layar lensa, cerita Rama Istimewa, Noktah Dosa, 12 Julai Sabtu 10 malam di TV3 dan stream juga melalui tonton.
We're back with news from the foreign front. Unseasonal weather is bringing chaos to Indonesia as the Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysics Agency warned on Wednesday that some regions may experience unusually heavy rainfall between July and September. Jakarta and nearby cities have been hit by heavy rain, displacing nearly 9,947 people and flooding 2,348 houses. Around 371 residents from 5 sub-districts in Jakarta were also forced to move to temporary evacuation centres. The agency has called on local governments and communities, especially in areas prone to floods and landslides, to prepare for possible disasters during this period. In South Korea, more than 1,000 people have been affected by heat-related illnesses as the country recorded its highest early July temperatures since records began. A heatwave warning remained in effect, with officials describing the extreme temperatures as a disaster that threatens lives. Official data released on Wednesday showed that more than 1,200 people in South Korea have suffered heat-related illnesses since May 15. While 8 deaths reported. According to the National Weather Agency, temperatures reached 37.8 degrees Celsius on Tuesday, the hottest early July day on record. Over in the U.S., more than 160 people are still believed to be missing in Texas, 4 days after flash floods killed at least 111 people in the county. Officials said on Tuesday that among the missing in hard-hit Kerr County are 5 campers and a counselor from Camp Mystic, with over 90 others unaccounted for in the surrounding Kerrville area. Authorities said rescue efforts will continue until all missing persons are accounted for. At least 9 people have been killed after the collapse of a bridge over a river in India's western Gujarat state. Authorities said several vehicles fell into the Mahisagar River when a portion of the Gamhira bridge collapsed on Wednesday morning. 5 others sustained injuries as rescue crews continue searching for survivors. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called the accident deeply saddening and offered condolences to the victims' families. More than 1 million customers of Australia's Qantas Airways had their phone numbers, birth dates or home addresses accessed in one of the country's biggest cyber breaches in years. In a statement on Wednesday, the airline confirmed the incident and revealed that an additional 4 million customers had only their names and email addresses accessed during the hack. Following last week's disclosure of the cyber attack, Qantas reported that the breached database contained unique personal information of 5.7 million customers after removing duplicate records from the initial estimate of 6 million affected. So far, there is no evidence that any customer data has been publicly released, and the company is actively monitoring the situation. In other news, a Singapore judge has increased Barry Lin Peng Lee's jail sentence from 14 months to 2 years and 3 months for abusing 5 cats in the Ang Mo Kio flats. The prosecution had appealed for a longer sentence, calling the case cruel and heinous, and argued that the judge had given too much weight to Lin's depression. Lin had abused cats whenever he felt frustrated and would walk around the flats looking for community cats to harm. He threw 2 felines from the upper floors of HDB blocks and stomped on another while it was still alive. Lin pleaded guilty in October last year to 3 charges of animal cruelty, with another 2 charges taken into consideration. Sports now, hockey and the 2025 Under-18 Asia Cup. The national youth squad kept their tournament hopes alive with a 2-2 draw against Uzbekistan on Wednesday, edging them out for a semi-final spot on goal difference after both sides finished with 10 points from 5 matches. Uzbekistan took the lead through Bunyodbek Kudion Azarov in the 34th minute, but Ilhan Azrul Rizwan equalized just a minute later. Uzbekistan regained the lead through Nurid Dinbek Rahmat Ulayev, who converted a penalty stroke in the 51st minute. However, Rafiq Razi rescued Malaysia by converting a penalty stroke in the 57th minute to secure the draw. The Young Tigers will now face Group A champions Pakistan in the semi-final on Friday, while Japan, who topped Group B, will meet Group A runners-up Bangladesh in the other semi-final. On to football now, the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. New signing João Pedro scored twice on his first start as English Premier League giants Chelsea beat Fluminense 2-0 on Tuesday to reach the final and move closer to securing their second title of the tournament since 2021. Turning to cycling, the 2025 Tour de France. Tadej Pogacar won Stage 4 of the Tour at Rouen on Tuesday to claim his 100th professional victory, while Mathieu van der Poel retained the overall lead. The 174.2-kilometer route from Amiens to Rouen came down to a sprint finish between the top 3 in the general classification, with the Slovenian world champion edging out the Dutchman and Denmark's Jonas Vingegaard. Pogacar launched a final attack on an incline to the line, crossing just ahead of Van der Poel, with Vingegaard taking third. It was the 26-year-old Slovenian's 18th Tour de France stage win as he seeks a fourth overall triumph on the Tour. Despite finishing second, Van der Poel maintained the yellow jersey as the overall leader. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at Fluminense fans in Rio de Janeiro who, despite their heartbreak, stood united in celebrating their team's incredible journey and unwavering spirit throughout the Club World Cup. With that, I'm Zahir, Kelvin, Abdullah. Thank you for watching and stay safe.